The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
Welcome back. I'm Sevilla Beam, and I'm here with Alexander Joyce. We're learning more about his book, ReJoyce in Your Retirement. And we want to talk right now about Chapter 12, which is about the Roth conversion. And there's a lot of information out there about Roth conversions. Who is it good for? When is it good for? Give us a little bit more about what we can find in the book about the Roth conversion.
Sure. That's so interesting because it's interesting to me. Right, and most people don't know this, but I have no problem sharing my personal story, right, and kind of where I'm from. And one time, many years ago, somebody asked me when in terms of looking at how a Roth conversion could work. Okay, they said, and it took me a while to really understand this, and probably some people have heard this as well. They said, "Would you rather pay taxes on a seed, or would you rather pay taxes on a harvest?" And when you really kind of think about that, and why it relates to me is because when I was young, I grew up on a very large farm. I grew up on about almost 700 acres, believe it or not. We had livestock. I grew up baling hay, very blue-collared family. My father was a GMer. My mother was a union bricklayer, right? And so that kind of took me back, and I said, well, let me think about that for a second. And how does that even work in conjunction with money? How should I be looking at that, right? And so the reason I put it in writing is because when looking at a Roth conversion, it's just that. When we look at somebody's assets, or someone brings in a pile of money, and they think they have a plan, they bring in all their statements, and they bring in their portfolio, and we start the analysis process. It's 9 times out of 10. Most people, and you are CPA, so you can relate to this, right? You see this, we both see this every day, right? And 9 times out of 10, the lion's share of somebody's money, assets, is pre-tax dollars.
Absolutely.
Right? They spent 30 or 40 years maybe at the same job. Maybe they were moved around a little bit. Maybe as they were moving, they took one 401k, they merged it into another. They took another 401k and they stuck it in an IRA. This IRA is not being managed. And they got this other 401k. It starts to become a little scattered, right? And the takeaway is that as they were making these moves over their working years or still working years, that money's never been taxed. That money's never been taxed. It's accumulated on a tax-deferred basis. They got wealthy over the years because they're getting compounded interest, right? Interest on the money that they're deferring, interest on the money they would have paid in taxes, interest on interest, and it just over time accumulates. And they bring this in, and then they have this bucket of pre-tax dollars, and they have a very small bucket of after-tax dollars or tax-free dollars or Roth assets. And so when we look at this, and we know that taxes over time could go up, and we know that they're going to be using these dollars, paying taxes on these dollars, and they have very little tax-free assets or a bucket we can use for an alternative asset class, or a bucket we can turn to for when there is more volatility, or a bucket that isn't subject to RMD, or a bucket that could convert or pass in a different way, right? All these are benefits of Roth IRAs, but yet many people have very, very little. And so we think understanding the difference between a conversion and a contribution, we start to look at the tax analysis to see if they're a good candidate for it. The issue is when people say, well, all those are great benefits, why don't I just take all my money and put it over into Roth IRA? It doesn't work that way, does it? It doesn't work that way. So the math, and why working with us, the math would look like easy to say, right? Easier to say as opposed to done, is, well, you should convert as much as you can, but at the same time, the question becomes how much for how long, right? What does that analysis look like? And it is a calculator or an Excel spreadsheet type of math. Sure. It is a bracket. It is a risk tolerance. There is a lot that goes into that. And the reason that a lot of people are just kind of staying away from this, maybe they don't know how to do it, or they don't want to take on the challenge, because it is. It is an area that must be done, and it's an area that has to be, a lot of things in life aren't perfect, right? But this is an area that is so focused because you can't redo it, right? And once you spill over into a next tax bracket, we don't want to say, hey, sorry about that.
Right.
Doesn't work that way, does it?
Sorry about that extra 7% in taxes.
It doesn't work that way.
Nobody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that, right? And we don't want that. And so, we can do it. We do it, and we spend time doing it. But we have to make it as close to perfect as possible. Would agree, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like everything else in retirement planning. It's so individualized. And a lot of times what we recommend for our clients, if they have questions about these Roth conversions, a lot of times what we're looking at is, lower income years when it makes the most sense, because we've got to remember those Roth conversions are now taxable dollars. If we want to convert them into that other tax-free bucket, there's got to be some taxes there in order to get it there. So we've got to be really mindful of that and make sure we're doing the proper planning on both sides.
Absolutely. I agree.
If you have questions about Roth conversions and how they might fit into your own retirement plan, feel free to look the book up on Amazon, ReJoyce in Your Retirement, or reach out to Alex's office, schedule an appointment with him, and you can leave with a free copy. Thanks so much. We'll be right back.
The Retirement Halftime Show. Maintain your lead in retirement.
I'm Alexander Joyce, President and CEO of ReJoyce Financial. If you're in retirement or near retirement, with all life's changes, it never hurts to get a second opinion. Managing expectations is the foundation of a prosperous relationship. Our goal is simple. We want to get to know you. So pick up the phone and make an appointment for a complimentary visit. There is no cost, no obligation. We simply want to get to know you and see if we can add value to your life in retirement. We can discuss topics like income planning, sequence of return risk, taxes, and estate planning, Social Security maximization, and much more. Let us help you develop strategies that can develop a successful retirement. If you want to know more about successful retirement strategies, then call now, schedule a visit, and let us help you rejoice in your retirement.